the League of Nations, and later on the decision of the UN in 1947 partition resolution that there will be a Palestinian state and a Jewish state side by side. Everything is fine. We're talking about a population of about 650,000 Jews at that time, and about million and a half Palestinians. And that was more or less the number of people living in that region in 1947, 1948. While the Jews living there became Israeli, because the state of Israel was established immediately after the partition resolution. While I was born here, but everyone else went to the streets to dance, to celebrate this historic moment that after so many years of being exiled, and in particular after the Holocaust, remember? Holocaust, which was, that's why it was so important for us, the Jewish people, to have again a homeland, that the Holocaust will never repeat itself. And the people who were building the country were also survivors coming from Europe, survivors or refugees that had to leave some of the Arab countries. But the Arab world and the Palestinians rejected this resolution. They didn't accept it. And so it's not to say, okay, we are against it, but they said, well, we are against it, and we invade. We invade a small little country that according to the partition resolution, it was even smaller than that. And the Israelis won't be a match for us because they're hardly being equipped. There's no regular army. And we talk about 7 Arab armies and the Palestinians invading. Imagine 7. They're all the way from Egypt to Iraq, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, Palestinians. I mean, everyone thought, well, if you look at if you calculate the forces of the Israelis, they don't have any chance. And probably that was the reason for the invasion. By the way, you hardly heard about it because then there was no CNN. I think this was the fact that we have been able to survive and to push the invaders back was a miracle. Taking into consideration the fact that we had so limited equipment, hardly any organized units. Those of you who are familiar with Israel, the Egyptians came all the way to Jerusalem, the Egyptians. The Jordanians from the south. The Jordanians reached Jerusalem. And it was one of the toughest wars that we experienced, but we have been able to survive this one. And if the Palestinians and the Arab world then would have accepted partition resolution, the things would have been much different. Because then we would have had a Palestinian state living side by side a Jewish state. And unfortunately, there was an invasion and a war which resulted in refugees. There were more Palestinian refugees than Jewish refugees, but we had our share of refugees coming from our world, from survivors of the Holocaust, but we didn't keep them in refugee camps, but we'll touch this one later. And that was the case more or less until 1967. What happened in 1967? Another attempt. Israel is still vulnerable. If we look at the narrow shoulders of Israel, just over there, 9 miles. 9 narrow miles. And again, it was always some of the Arab countries attempted to do another try, especially to be able to split the country into 2. Israel will not be able to sustain 3 fronts. Israel is small, yes, even if you have a strong country, but how can you face the Egyptian army, the Jordanian army, the Syrian army? But again, we have been able to push back the three countries. And during those times, up to 1967, there was no issue of settlements. There was no one single settlements. And yet there was no peace. There was no recognition. We were not accepted as an independent entity. We were not accepted still as a country that has the right to exist, although there is UN resolution, although no one can deny the bonds and the links of the Jewish people to the Holy Land. And 67, when we have been able to take over both Gaza and Judea and Samaria, many Jews decided to return to the Holy Land and to build settlements. These are the settlements that you hear of today. And of course, the question is being asked: where is the settlement stands in the way of reaching an agreement? And our answer is categorically no, because we proved in the past that, take for example the case of Gaza, we removed all the settlements from Gaza. We didn't get peace in return. We know that this is one of the issues that should be negotiated. There are a few core issues that have to be negotiated, and during the negotiation with the Palestinians, the settlements, by the way, would be probably the easiest to solve. Talk about Jerusalem, talk about refugees. These are the three, I would say, most important issues. But again, you have to understand the mindset of the Israelis, which are looking at the neighborhood and the saying, and yes, there are Palestinians, but our concerns are much, much beyond. When we talk about security needs, it is not that we are being paranoid. It's our experience in the last almost 100 years, with so many wars, so many violent conflicts, and we realize that we have to have concrete, strong, solid security arrangements in order to be able to make and to take the very difficult decisions that we'll have to take. And we are fully aware of that. And when Prime Minister Netanyahu was here, and he repeated that wherever he was talking to. Because one might say, today you don't need territory because there are missiles. And the answer is exactly the opposite. The territory, for example, gives you the buffer to be able to either intercept or to go into shelters, because it takes longer time to hit the, God forbid, the city centers. And remember, Tel Aviv was hit by 14 missiles during the Gulf War. So it is not that we are just paranoid or hallucinating. The Egyptians today, many are saying, well, should we continue with the peace agreement? So, I mean, for peace agreement with Egypt, we have been willing to go a long way, give up the entire Sinai Peninsula in return of security arrangement, which might be now with the new administration, with the new regime, with the new chapter in the history, totally renamed. This is something that we cannot afford. Therefore, for us, security arrangements, ensuring that there would be guarantees, solid guarantees, is basic. And again, think of the Israeli getting up in the morning and say, wait a minute, who should I think of today? Is the Hezbollah going crazy today? Might be. Bombard Haifa? Will it be the Hamas? Ashkelon and Ashdod? Will it be just terrorist activities that we are facing, or it will be the Syrians if maybe Assad thinks that his days are numbered, we might go crazy and decide to divert attention to provoke the Israelis? Will it be the Iranians? This is the mindset of Israeli that has to get up in the morning and say, wait a minute, what should I think of today? And in spite of that, we are able to, believe me, I don't know how I think about it, normal life, to be creative, to be innovative, to have, we are the nation that is proud to be the startup nation, number one